What's going on, everybody? My name is Reginald Titus Jr. I'm Executive Director for Ground Over Matter Foundation. Today, we're going to be talking about transitioning from video producer to cinematographer with Jaime Maldonado. Welcome, brother.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, bro. All right. So, if anybody's not familiar with Ground Over Matter Foundation, we're about having representation in front of and behind the camera, and we support that mission by having like our film projects. We have our virtual workshops, like we're doing today when we're interviewing professionals in the field. And then we also have our media services and scholarships for our drone. So for our drone scholarship. So if y'all are interested in that, go to grindovermatter.org, hit the donate button, and that continues our programs. But before we dive further into that, let's talk about Jaime Maldonado, and we're going to jump into your bio. Jaime Maldonado is an award-winning cinematographer whose work is rooted in movement, timing, and visual storytelling. He began his career shooting music videos and comedy skits where he developed a sharp instinct for rhythm, performance, and fast-paced production. From there, he transitioned into wedding filmmaking, refining his ability to capture authentic emotion in an uncontrolled real-world environments. His path eventually led to broadcast television, where he gained experience working with high-pressure, structured productions and collaborative crews. Now focused on narrative films, Jaime brings together all stages of his career: energy from music videos, comedic timing, emotional intuition, and broadcast level discipline to create cinematic visuals that serve story above all else. Hey, man, you've been busy.
Damn, bro, that sounds like a Club Shay Shay intro, bro. You can keep it going if you want.
Yeah. I'm sure there's more, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit more. But yeah, man, thank you for the introduction, and thanks to Grind Over Matter Foundation for doing what you guys are doing and helping educate, people that want to be in films. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. We appreciate that. Okay, man. What we do here is we get right into it. So,
okay.
what is a cinematographer? You hear that term, people talk about it. What is a
uh,
cinematographer?
what is a cinematographer? Damn, bro. I, you know, essentially it boils down to making pretty images. That's I guess that's like the simple explanation, but they're in charge of the visuals aspect of you know any TV shows and films you watch on whether it be your phone, television, at the theaters, stuff like that. So
Is do some people use the term cinematographer like incorrectly? Because sometimes you'll see people
yeah,
that
and you
I don't
know
know. What are your thoughts on that?
I I want to say yes, because like a video producer, videographer, that you're you're in charge of everything. As a videographer, you're running lights, you're running cameras, you're running sound. It's honestly sometimes it's a little harder, to be a videographer than a cinematographer, because at least with cinematography you have help, and you have somebody setting up lights, you have somebody in charge of sound, you have somebody in charge of moving gear and equipment, and grips and gaffers, and you know I don't want to say it's easier, but it's just different, I guess. It's just different. So as far as like cinematographer goes, I feel like you're held to a higher standard uh, than you are like a videographer. But hey man, that's how I essentially started. As just a video producer. So, but yeah, there definitely is some confusion when it comes to that. At least that's just my take on it, my opinion. Not throwing any shade or anything. No video. Like I said, I was a videographer myself, video producer. So, definitely not throwing any shade out there. But it is different. So.
Right. What? Let's go through a couple of your films because people need to see some of your work.
All right.
All right, let's go to this quick commercial that you shot.
Growing up, a lot of women were kind of like scared away from weights, doing heavy weights. The way society portrays like women in general, it's always been the smaller, the better. Yeah, I want to be strong. I feel like there's probably other women out there that feel the same way. The vision that I have is to build a community of women. When you come into this place, you're ready to put the excuses aside. I don't want to see you walking out of here. I want to see you crawling out of here. This is the place to show up and show out, and you got to get it. Let's go.
Haven't seen that one in a while. It's been a
Right?
minute.
That's a good one. Talk about it. Talk
Yeah.
about the setup. Yeah, and it looks great. It's
Uh,
like highly stylized. So like, can you kind of talk about that? How you approach it from just a
yeah,
cinematography
man.
standpoint?
I'm normally like drawn to moodier images in general, and unfortunately, depending on the project you're doing, sometimes you have the freedom to shoot the way you want to shoot. If you're shooting television, I mean, they want everything lit up. You know what I mean? Flat, even lighting. Uh, you know, it's kind of it's live broadcast, so you kind of got to play it safe. Because each station has like certain regulations as far as like you know frame rate settings, lighting, uh different things like that. So and unfortunately, like TV, not unfortunately, but TV is it's just different. Once you start moving into ads and agencies and stuff like that, you have a little bit more creative freedom. And so we definitely went with a little bit more like moodier image. I just felt like it fits the tone of the gym. When we walked into the gym, there was black walls and LED lighting's already in place. So to try to make that look bright and airy, it would have been a nightmare. So we're just really shooting based on the location we were at. And you know I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I do. I do too. We had fun. That was one we collabed on. So
Yeah,
that was cool.
you were directing on that one, man. You definitely crushed it. So that was dope.
What so somebody might look at that, right? They might be like a video person or whatever. I'm trying to get into the game. They could be like, when I have a camera, it don't look like that. When I shoot, when I'm shooting my stuff, it don't look like that. I turn the lights off too. It didn't look,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it didn't look like that.
Man,
So
it's just lighting, man. That's your main job as a cinematographer, is just lighting and what style, what type of emotion are you trying to, what the scene is and what it is that you're trying to show visually. So that was just something that, I feel like a lot of those ads that especially like the ones that we've collabed on, they had like a very similar tone and very like true to the style that I like. So that's definitely, but yeah, lighting is key, man. You got to understand light, different types of light and contrast ratios, stuff like that. Very basic stuff to learn, but once you learn it, it's a game changer for sure.
all right, you say contrast ratios. What someone that doesn't know, what's a contrast ratio? Just like to
So
give people like some things that they can
yeah,
kind of look at to like develop their skill set. So
so
what's a contrast ratio, for
So
example?
contrast ratio is mainly going to be, the stops of light you're going to have, like on the face. Like for example, right here, this is probably. Ooh, I don't have my light meter with me, but like very, it's not really high contrast. So, but maybe like 2 to 1, something like that. And so that's just like how many stops under or how many stops of a difference you have on your key side versus the fill side. So
Okay, so that's the ratios, and then you mentioned like style. So how does a person that doesn't have any style, all they know how to like to do 3 point lighting, or maybe they just know they need to light up a subject, but they don't necessarily know how to paint with light or anything like that. So what are some things that they can study that you recommend? Whether that, yeah, just give some
yeah,
examples.
man. Definitely study films. I like looking at artwork. I draw a lot of inspiration from like paintings in general. You know, stuff like that. Just watching, stuff you watch your favorite films and stuff like that. Look at how it's lit. Look at the contrast, um, and go out and execute. And once you execute, you're going to see what works, what doesn't work, and what you like and don't like. I think the main thing is just like getting out there and like actually like trying and shooting. I mean, when I first started, man, I was using some like redheads, and some. Do you remember those shop work lights? Those halogen
Oh yeah,
work
absolutely.
lights?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We would pop one of those in because they had a lot of power, and those come in one color. There's no uh, RGB or any of that stuff. Back like when I started, it was just like you're shooting whatever the light, whatever temperature the light was shooting, you would have to conform to that unless you had all the proper gear and gels and stuff like that to change the lighting. But yeah, man, we would use those work lights and just pop up some shower curtains with the frost on it, and that's pretty much how I did it, like at the beginning. And then we started moving into the RE600s, the Fresnels, and then all the LED stuff. I remember Aperture came out, and it's game changer, man. The LEDs, they just weren't as hot, and I mean, now you can pretty much buy a cheap RGB light from Amazon for like $30 and like play with that. So um yeah, I think the main thing is just executing, trying, and kind of figuring out, and what do you draw inspiration from? I think that's probably going to be the biggest one, like determining your style. So
Okay. What so you transitioned from video production to cinema with a focus on films now.
yeah,
How has that transition been going from that world to this world?
it's different, man, and I wish I would have like started sooner, because essentially that's how I started. I wanted to, be a cinematographer, but at the time I couldn't find my way in, and when people are offering you money to shoot a wedding, or people are offering you money to shoot a music video, or whatever it is, man, you're gonna follow the money, and that's what I did for like a decade. And then up until recently, like the past year, I've been really focusing on trying to shoot more narrative stuff. So that's the transition's been rough though. It's been
Yeah.
a little rocky, just because it's like starting a whole new career essentially. So building your network, contacts, stuff like that
Hmm.
is super important. So the more time you have in the game, uh,
True.
the easier things get. So
Yeah, I noticed with when we're getting into media or video, you don't kind of realize sometimes that there's a whole world just in live AV, or there's a whole
yeah,
world just in, like, say if you do nonprofit or church stuff, like you
yeah,
can literally, so you I think sometimes we as artists we get stuck sometimes in like video world because like, hey, you shoot video, won't you do this thing, or
yeah.
won't you do this AV, or once you shoot, and some of the money could be good, but it may not be as artistic as it would be with like a film or a TV show or something like that,
Yeah,
or like with weddings, as you know, that's like a whole industry,
it's its own
within it.
industry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally different. You got one moment to get
one
it right.
shot. Yeah,
Yeah,
one shot. Yeah,
to get it
uh,
right. So
yeah,
what so so sometimes I think people we can kind of get caught up in there because I've shot a little bit of everything, just
yeah.
all over the place. But
Same.
uh
Man. I've shot all kinds of stuff, man.
right.
From like concerts, award-winning Grammy Latin artists, to local music videos and nonprofit stuff, local ads. I mean, I've done it all. I mean, weddings. Yeah, I pretty much shot anything. So if they were paying me, I was going to be there. So
I
that's
understand
just how it
completely.
goes.
One thing I did notice, like with your work with the weddings, is that it wasn't like normal, like normal like wedding videos. It's kind of generic, but it seemed like you were having like a cinematic eye when you were shooting the stuff.
Ah, thank you,
And
man.
yeah, man. So like it definitely stood out. What are some skills that you learned from being in the wedding world that actually helped you when transitioning to the film world?
Man, I want to say, when you're in weddings, it's kind of like live television, man. You're it's live. So whatever, if you miss something, you missed it, and then there's no take two. There's no let's go back to one. There's none of that. It's just live. And so I think one thing it taught me really well is, as far as like lighting goes, is it's way easier to shoot for the lighting you have available versus you trying to do a setup. Because anytime you got to set something up, during a wedding or anything that's live broadcast, it's that's time you don't get back from, like, capturing footage. So I think one of the things is definitely lighting. A lot of the things we used to do, and a lot of the other, like, wedding vendors, we would work together, collaborate, and we would be like, oh well, let's bring them over to the window, and we'll use the window light. We don't have to set up soft boxes or anything. We're just using natural and available light, for most of the day. And then once we get to, like, receptions and stuff like that, we'll typically have a little bit of time to set up lights and light up the dance floor and stuff like that. So definitely taught me speed and how to use natural light. I think it'd be really handy for people that are interested in, like, documentary filmmaking, because a lot of times it's kind of the same where, and a lot about documentaries. I mean, you're was it your debut feature film,
Yeah, that was
Natural
our
Hair the movie?
yeah, that was our
It's a
first
full-on
film.
documentary. Highly recommend it. Go check it out. We actually shot a few of the what are they called? The reenactments.
Yeah, the reenactment, the scripted stuff. You
Yeah, the
shot a
scripted
majority
stuff.
of our scripted stuff.
And
And I don't consider myself a cinematographer in that
mhm.
way, but when we were shooting the interviews, we just did 3-point lighting. We just kept it simple.
Yeah,
We just had to get it done, right?
and it's safe. And it's
Yeah.
safe. You know what I mean? It's the safe thing to do. Is three-point lighting. It's the most, like, basic entry level lighting setup you can learn at the beginning if you're an aspiring cinematographer, director of photography. But yeah, man, speed. That's it's been really helpful on some of the feature films that I've shot. Is just, production days, sometimes you run behind, or you're behind schedule, and then, people are starting to stress out, and it's just not a good feeling. And so one thing I've learned is, like I said, since I'm pretty good at using available light, and as long as you set up the blocking and everything for that, I mean, yeah, dude, you'll be able to move along a lot quicker than having to set up, big 8 buys, 10 buys, whatever, and big old lights. All of that stuff takes time. So yeah, using
Mhm.
available light.
Yeah, I can definitely say that from doing the weddings, like you said, it's a live event. And the shot that that they kind of want most of the time is that coming down the aisle shot. And
Yeah,
so if you don't got that, you kind of in trouble. So there's like certain shots that you got to have that'll get you in trouble, and you got that one moment to make it. So I remember
yeah,
I used to have a nightmare, a recurring nightmare that when I was heavy into weddings, that I'll
yeah,
have everything set up, all three cameras are set up, everything's rock and rolling, the batteries are ready to go. I'm
yeah,
at I'm at the aisle next to the groom, about to hit record.
yeah.
No SD card.
No, as you know. Oh man,
Everything else was
yeah.
perfect. I remembered everything else but the
I've
SD card.
had I've had all those issues, and, oh man, battery's about to die. It's like you forget, you turn on the camera, they're about to walk down, and you're like at 5% battery. And you're like, man, I hope I get at least that. And especially like me, I did a lot of solo weddings, meaning I didn't have, like, a second shooter or somebody, an assistant helping me. Probably my own fault, but I didn't have a lot of typically, I'd say, like, at least 50%, 60% of my weddings were just solo. So if I didn't have batteries in my pocket, or backup memory cards in my blazer or something like that, then yeah, man, you're missing that. You're missing that, and you're definitely going to get in a lot of trouble. I will say that, autofocus wasn't really reliable when I started doing that, and so I had to pull manual focus. They were
Yeah,
walking down the aisle. There was
yeah,
no, DSLRs didn't have peaking, or what is that, auto assist, and
yeah,
or
focus
any of
says,
those
yeah.
other DSLR features. And so I had to get used to pulling the barrel, as they're, like, getting closer to the camera and stuff like that, walking down the aisle. And I remember my first AC job in film was Bid for Love 2.
Hmm.
I had never AC'd before. I never done any of that, and we started day one with uh, what's his name was on set. Pinky from next
Oh,
Friday. Uh,
Clifton Powell.
Clifton Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and man, we day one we start with him, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't even know what I'm doing here, man. Shout out to Sam shot it. He was the
Mhm.
DP for that. I definitely picked up a few things from him as well. But man, I don't think he knew. Maybe he did know that I was inexperienced, but when it came to pulling focus, I was so used to having to track subjects manually. I mean, after the first take, man, I was locked in. I was ready to go, and it was the easiest transition I've ever made was uh, going from like pulling manual focus to pulling focus on a $1 million budget feature film. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about what first AC is, because maybe that's like kind of like a transition into
Yeah.
cinematography or DP.
So first AC is first assistant camera. They're in charge of pretty much making sure your shots are in focus, um, and amongst a couple other duties. Depending on if you have a second AC or not. Sometimes they double, depending on what type of project you're on. At the indie level, sometimes you'll have a first AC but no second AC, so they'll be running. Sometimes they'll be running slate. They'll be pulling focus, setting marks, you know, memory cards, cleaning lenses, lens swaps, stuff like that, calibrating camera builds. They kind of have, typically on an indie set, you'll have more responsibilities simply because you don't have like enough budget. Once you get to those slightly bigger budgets, then it's like, okay, now we have every department has a department head, and but yeah, that's what a first assistant camera would be. And then you also have camera department. You have a second AC, and they have their own set of responsibilities when you're on set. They're typically the ones that run slate and work with DIT to get footage transferred and stuff like that. So, but yeah,
Um,
it's camera department.
what if somebody is wanting to kind of get into first AC, second AC? What equipment would you recommend them bringing to set, or would the camera department already have that? What have you seen so far?
Uh, it really depends, man. At the indie level, for sure, you'll get a first AC that knows a little bit about it, or they're depending, right, on the budget, and who it is that you get. But typically, sometimes you'll get experienced ACs, non-experienced ACs, and yeah, I guess it just really depends. But I would say typically on an indie set, at least in my experience, they'll have like some like knowledge as far as like what they're doing. But as far as gear goes, there's this DP, Shane Hurlbut, and he has this course, this online education course called Filmmakers Academy, and they have some like really cool YouTube videos as far as like what gear those ACs bring. But typically, you want like some type of like focus puller, marks, lens wipes, Pancro, Pancro and Kimtech wipes, just tissues and spray for cleaning the lenses, different things like that. So, but he has a whole gear list, and I actually highly recommend watching that video because he goes into depth, like what tools, Allen wrenches, and stuff like that to bring. So, as a first AC or second AC.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so but they're not gonna be breaking the bank trying to get in the game.
Yeah, probably the most expensive thing is going to be the focus puller, and it depends, which one you get. You definitely, they have some budget ones out there. The Tilta Nucleus, they're in the, gosh, I don't remember, maybe like $700, $800 range. But I mean, you can go on to the higher, RE focus pullers and stuff like that, and you'll spend quite a few thousand. So it just really depends.
All right, let's dive into some of the current films that you're working on. We got a
Sure.
couple here. Okay, so we have wait, my bad. Boom, Dark Distortion. Right. Tell us a little bit about Dark Distortion.
Dark Distortion is a horror movie directed by Joseph Herrera, and shout out to Joseph. He was directed, produced, and did a lot of work on that. I believe he was also the writer. Um, he did a lot of work on that film, and he hired me as the DP to shoot this film for him. We shot this on the Red Gemini, um, and man, that was my first, I would say, legit. Um, Not necessarily legit, but I would say that's like the first like feature film that I'm at, like, I'm proud of, like, what I was able to accomplish visually. Um, Not only like with the lighting and stuff, but even like some of the camera moves, and it was just a great experience, great film. I don't remember budget off the top of my head, but it was definitely a decent, indie level budget. So
Right, and it looks like I remember some of the stills. I think y'all were putting up online and things like that. It was looking good.
yeah, man, thank you, appreciate it. We definitely put a lot of work. Did some overnights. Uh, it was a fun. I believe it was, man. It was about like a 15-day, 16-day shoot, something like
Hmm.
that. So it was fun.
What was this one of the first films that you were shooting the red on?
Yes.
Uh huh.
Yeah, so this is the first one that we used the red on. Like some of the past films we did, we did one back in like 2016, 2015, like 10 years ago. We were shooting that on the C100, which is the Canon Cinema 100 series,
Right, right.
camera. At the time, great camera, 1080p, typically a lot of the distributors and stuff only require 1080p, so like we were good to shoot with that one. But this was, yeah, that one of the first films, and actually Joseph was the director of the first feature film that I've shot. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. Everything looks good. It looks like
March
the
3rd, March
huh
3rd, 2026.
right Prime Video. So and it's I like it when the production team like takes the marketing seriously, and you
Yeah.
can tell that they put the money into it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of the actors you see on the poster right here, they actually had to come back. And we filmed this, what, like almost 2 years ago, year and a half ago,
Yeah.
almost 2 years ago, and you know, they had to come back and do photos for like the posters and promotions and you know, uh, yeah, man, it's a serious commitment once you start, going down the filmmaking path, especially if you're the one, like producing, directing, and stuff. I mean, you live with that film for for at least a
A
year.
long time.
Yeah, long time. Post production, pre production, production, like marketing. Sometimes, it just depends on what you're doing. But yeah, man, films like that. It's a grind. It's a grind to get a film done, man. So I know of a lot of projects that they make it to production, and then post production they fall out, or pre production, and or they don't get the funding, and that's it. When it's really hard to get a film done, so it's hard to make a bad movie. It's
Yeah,
hard to
right.
make a bad movie.
That's real.
And then going above that, like making a good movie, it's even harder. So
Yeah, that's why I commend anybody that makes an attempt to making these films, because it how much effort it takes. I mean, there's $100 million films that suck.
yeah, yeah.
So that's the competition.
Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah,
what you're
it's
fighting
definitely
attention
hard
for.
to make a bad film. So, but no, I think this one's good. I think it's good. And yeah, March 3rd, it's coming out. Breaking Glass is the distributor for this film. So,
Hmm. Okay, rock on. All right, Secret Sins, Dr. Ollie's.
man, that was a great. I don't know. I love that movie too. Shooting that movie, lots of talent, man. Jada J and Dorian Wilson, Whitney Lampkin. Gosh, I'm forgetting names here. I'm drawing a blank. Rob Hudspeth, uh, Corey Pratt, amazing actors. I mean, these people are incredible, man. Especially like Dorian. Working with Dorian was such a cool experience, man, because
Yeah.
he was just talented, man. Like I was,
Hmm.
you know, I was blown away. Like, first take, I was like, oh wow, like that's good, And he also had like a really I would say what would be a really fun character to play for this
Hmm.
movie, just because he's playing, two different sides. But it's yeah, I don't want to give up too much, but yeah, man, I think that visually it's also, I think it's one of my favorite, definitely one of my favorite films as far as visuals go. We got some really cool stuff that I'm really proud of, and you know I don't know if they have a launch date yet or when it's going to be released. I I know they're kind of doing some things. I don't know if they have a distributor yet. That's not my department, but I can't wait to see this one, man. I'm actually like really excited. We're at like some cool locations. We were shooting in an actual um, uh, police station jail, or it used to be a jail, and then they ended up moving their offices, and now they rent it out for like filmmakers and photo shoots and different things like that. And but it's a legitimate jail. It's yeah, that was a fun film. That was a fun film to shoot.
Yeah, I saw the stills for that one as well. It looked good. Like I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I got to see this work
yeah,
that you put
I'm
in.
so excited to see this movie, man. I can't wait to see when it releases. Because I know everything I shot, but when we're shooting out of order. It doesn't matter if you read the script how many times. Because you're really able to rewrite the film in the edit, right? Like that's some pretty common knowledge amongst filmmakers that have been in the game for a while. But you could definitely rewrite the movie in the edit. I think Tarantino says that also in like one of his interviews, and
Hmm.
what you think it's going to look like once you see the final edit, it could be completely different. So
Yeah, yeah. You have the movie that's like on the screenplay, and then you have the movie that you're shooting, and then you have the movie in the final locked movie.
yeah,
Could look different than what the screenplay reads.
yeah. Definitely, man. But I think that's going to be a solid movie coming out. So
Okay, so you
shout
so
out
you
to Dr. Ollie, by the way. This is
yeah.
one of Dr. Ollie's film, man, and he's crushing it.
Yeah, that looks good. So we've had a horror film. We had this is more like a drama,
Yeah, I would say it's more like a drama.
and
Yep.
then we got one more kind of spicy. What's this?
So this is the unofficial poster that you're seeing. Uh, that's why it says sample right there.
Yeah,
But this is
got you.
another Dr. Ollie film. It's called Desperate for Fame. Uh, Getting to work with Portia again, that was great because she was in Bid for Love too.
Yeah.
Uh, Getting to meet and work with Joseph Mason, incredible actors, man. I definitely love their work. I'm a big fan of theirs, and they, yeah, man, this film is gonna be X-rated, X-rated. But it's good. It's entertaining. So I was able to watch the rough cut for this film.
Hmm.
I did get access to that, and it's entertaining. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. So
So is it going to be like is it still the genre with drama, or is it going to be more action, fighting, stuff like that?
uh I would say drama action, yeah.
Hmm.
Because there's definitely some parts, but it's it's very entertaining, man. That film, yeah, the actors got down, crew got down, uh,
Hmm. And
that's going to be a good one.
and that's another Dr. Ollie uh
Yeah, that's another
production.
Dr. Ollie film coming
That's
out.
cool. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, man. So let's talk equipment. So like if somebody
Yeah,
wants to get into being a cinematographer, it can be costly. So
yeah, man.
let's talk about it.
I think depending on your situation, your finances, because everybody's different. Everybody starts at a different level, depending on how much money you have saved up, or how much money you have in general. I would get just the best camera you can afford, um, whether that be a red RE, or even a small Sony, Canon, whatever, Nikon. uh, if you're starting out, honestly, the camera isn't really as important when you're first starting out, because there's a I think in like cinematography, there's like quite a learning curve, because I remember when I first started, like after the 2 year mark, I thought it was great, you know, and 3 years in, and I started, working in television. I realized, like, oh man, all these people know more than me, and so that I learned a little bit of, from working at Univision, from some of the other cinematographers, or they call them photographers in television. uh, so they're like videographers. They're actually called photographers. I don't know if that's a news thing
Yeah.
only, but I've only heard them in television call their videographers photographers. So, but they're essentially, yeah, camera operators and stuff like that. Yeah,
So you
yeah, man.
saying, so you can say, like, from an equipment standpoint, what are some necessities to be a DP?
Camera.
Do they need a what's the thing called? To measure the exposure. What's the name of the instrument?
No, light meter.
Yeah, do
No,
they?
you don't need a light meter.
Uh-huh.
I purchased one maybe 8, 10 years, into my journey. Um, and honestly, I don't even really use it. Another thing you can get is just a small little monitor. Learn how to use what's called false color. False color is just the international. Oh gosh, I forgot the exact terminology, but it's like a recognized, standardized system for how you measure light. Um,
It's like the screen when you see like versions of gray on the
yeah,
screen.
yeah, you'll see like grays and yellows and reds and greens and purples and pink. And so it's just a scale of, like, like lighting, and it gives you an idea of what, where your light is, hitting. Like if you got a strong backlight in the window, you pop on the false color, and you see that, that window, is just like red on your false color meter. You know that it's way too overexposed, and you're not retaining any information. uh but yeah, you definitely don't need a light meter. I know I've seen other DPs. I haven't worked with a DP that's used the light meter. So, but but then I have seen online where other DPs, have used them. So I guess it really just depends. But yeah, it's not necessary. I think the things that are necessary are going to be, if you're starting out, definitely just a camera and some lights. Some aperture lights. They don't have to be, any of the big ones. You can get, little Amarans and stuff like that. I believe they have like a 200X or something like that for like, 200, $300, stuff like that you can get,
Right.
and start to play around. Get some modifiers, but definitely you need a camera, lenses. That's like the most basic thing you need to get started. I mean, if you want to take it serious, if you want to do it for fun as a hobby, or if it's just content, man, a cell phones have gotten really good. I mean, I've
True.
worked with agencies that they do almost all of their clients' content on a cell phone. So,
That's
um,
crazy. It's I kind of feel like now it's, once you master your craft, you can kind of choose whatever weapon you want. And when you're
yeah.
talking about phones, I think about Sean Baker. Like, he's got,
Mm.
nominated for an Oscar, actually won an Oscar, but like the one that had a lot of buzz was a film that he shot on the iPhone.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm surprised like how good they are now, especially like the new iPhones. I don't know much about the Android phones, but the new iPhones, I mean, you could shoot log now on an iPhone. That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
It's
that's wild.
the technology is, and that gap's going to close more and more over the next few years. So maybe the future is cell phone making and AI. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe, I don't know. I still like the
Maybe. Yeah,
camera.
no,
I
I
still
don't
like
think
the
so.
camera. I still
But
like the cameras. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, I love cameras.
But maybe since technology is so good now, because with the light meters, when you were working with film back in the day, and you didn't have any monitors, you had to send it off to processing, and then you'll find out if you have anything.
Yeah, you
Uh,
definitely needed a light meter if you're shooting on film, because film is expensive, and you want to get it right. Um, but with digital, I mean, it's just so easy now with digital,
you
man.
kind of see what you get. You already
Yeah,
you already see what you're getting.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, shooting film, I haven't done that yet. It's definitely on my bucket list. I would love to shoot a feature on like just film. Uh, that's something that I definitely want to reach that milestone for sure.
Um, Getting started. So we were talking about earlier, like personal branding. So
Mhm.
from like a personal branding standpoint, how should people kind of position themselves? Because to the market, I remember at one point in my career, like being referred to it as the video guy, or when I started getting into doing DIT work, certain people only know me for doing DIT work, or maybe shooting behind the scenes stuff, so only know
Yeah,
me for that. So, like from a personal branding standpoint, what would you recommend there?
I think if you truly want to be like a cinematographer, a DP, just do that, and represent yourself online only doing that. Uh, one of my friends, he had told me, this. I guess this kind of like story is like it's whatever you put out is what you're gonna get, right? If you keep on, putting behind the scenes videos or stuff like that, there people are gonna see that online and assume that that's what you are, So uh, if you want to be a DP cinematographer, like just put it on your bio, start shooting some stuff, and yeah, that's it. I wouldn't be showing a lot of the other things you do, just because, if I'm looking for a plumber, I'm not going to go to an electrician's website. You know what I mean? I'm going to go to a plumber's website, So if somebody's looking for a cinematographer and that's what they want and that's what you want to do, once they see your stuff online, that's what they're going to hire you for. So definitely got to be, it's something I didn't know at the beginning, but it's something you definitely have to um, focus on your personal branding, especially online nowadays. I mean, Instagram is your portfolio. I've booked several gigs off of Instagram. That you actually, uh, in the wedding business, that was, I want to say, like 50%, 20, 30 to 50% of the business was Instagram. So it's very
Mhm.
important, very important.
What if you would like to kind of start over, like your career was like, okay, now that I see what's going on, how would I start? How would you start
I
again?
would
Would you do
only
anything differently? What would you do?
I would. Being DP was, being a cinematographer was always the goal, man. And I definitely got distracted and sidetracked with the money. But I would only be a DP. And I wouldn't, me personally, like I would go in as a DP. I wouldn't go in as a PA, which, you know, if you need to get some set experience, there's nothing wrong with doing it. Everybody has a different path, but for me, I would definitely just go in straight in as a DP. And it's going to take some time, but once you start building your network and trust, and people start seeing your work online, I mean, dude, you'll start getting you'll start getting a few DMs like, hey, I got this project. Are you available? And that's how it starts, and little by little, as you're building, contacts and networking and stuff like that, it just starts to snowball, you know. And so, like, the sooner you get started, the sooner you're going to be able to reach the goals you want to reach. As far as you know, I think most roles in the filmmaking world.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. Speaking of which, Mrs. B, she said hello. She said, "Hey, my friends, it's Mrs. B." What's going on, B?
Yeah, she was on set for Bid for Love too, right?
Yep,
Ms.
yeah,
B.
Yep.
on a bunch of other sets, but that's
She's
I think that's where I met her for the first time. So
yeah, she does a lot of work, a lot of good work.
yeah, she's amazing.
Also Juan to what's up, Juan Ojeda, my bad.
Oh, juice.
Oh, juice. Um, man, that's real about that. So you saying if you were to do it again, you will kind of focus on the
Yeah,
positioning yourself as DP.
yeah. Position yourself in that, and if that's all you want to do, then that's all I would show online. I wouldn't show anything else. If I got hired for, you know, a promo or behind the scenes or whatever, right? Maybe as a story, but not on your feed. So at least
Okay.
that's something I would do personally.
Yeah, I did notice. It was years ago when there was like I was working on a film project with students from UT in Arlington, and it was like the film program, and they a
Yeah,
lot of them kind of knew where they wanted to go. It's like I'm a DP, and this is it. I'm not
and
doing
that's it.
anything. I'm gonna sleep in my car. I don't care if I'm broke. This is what I'm gonna do. And the guy is successful. It was like two of them that were like that. They were like, we talk about like the other like video production stuff that we've done. They were just like, no, I'm a DP.
Yeah,
They were just like, what? Nah, this is what I'm doing.
I
So
I think that's the way, man. I genuinely think that's the way because like you said, like people were starting to think that you were, just the DIT guy, and that's such a small part of what it is that you do. But since you were networking in that role, you know, people were, associating you with that job, and which you do offer those services, right, as a DIT, but
right.
that's not what you primarily do. So, but
Yeah.
it's just in their eyes, they don't know that you have, a very successful documentary. And they probably had no clue. They thought, oh, he's just the DIT. But like, nah, man, and when I met you, and when, we started talking, like, what is it like now? Like 12, 13, 14 years. It's been a minute.
It's been a hot minute.
Um, you talked about directing, how you wanted to direct. I saw your short films that you directed. So I've always associated you as a director, uh DIT stuff. I knew it was just, hey, we got a DIT kid and we're gonna make a little bit of bread,
Right.
but uh, but I've always associated you with being a director. So at least that, when early on when we had those conversations, that's what you said, and that's what you were doing, So and people will associate you with whatever it is that you're, doing, especially if you make it like public online and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because doing projects and doing DIT, because these are projects. So what I didn't realize is that when you're doing independent projects, you start picking up these skill sets. So we were
Yeah.
producing our own film. So now I have the skill set as a producer, executive producer, whatever. But then I'm also writing. I'm also with the DIT, like keeping all the footage. Like, oh, this is a job that somebody else would be doing, but because
Yeah.
but because we're doing this ourselves, we're doing all these jobs. Like, oh wow. So you start acquiring all these skill sets. And it was funny. I was actually going to work on a project um to do DIT stuff, but they was like, on your IMDb, you just have a bunch of stuff that's directing. Now, I can do the work. I can still do the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
perception though, they perceive like a certain thing
Yeah.
that you can't do the work because of that. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah. And like I can edit. I've been editing for years, but I would never put that online, man. Like going back to what you were saying is there a difference between a cinematographer and a video producer or videographer? That I think that's like probably one of the biggest differences is a cinematographer typically doesn't edit any of their footage. So, like a lot of these films that I've shot, you know, I wasn't even part of the post production process. So I did do some visual effects work on Dark Distortion, um, but it was like very simple stuff. It wasn't anything crazy, no crazy CGI or anything like that. It was just some simple VFX work that just small little things that we changed, maybe on like two or three different clips. So it wasn't really, it wasn't anything like big. But as far as like post production, man, I can't. I You get spoiled as a cinematographer, man, because you don't edit anymore, man.
Yeah.
Oh
Dude.
gosh, having to edit like, all these other different projects that we've shot. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's true.
There's definitely bottlenecking there, so it takes
Absolutely.
up a lot of your time. So yeah, definitely don't promote the editing services because that's not even a service I offer. So
It, dude, and it's crazy because that's one of the like kind of Achilles heel to people in the independent game
yeah, yeah, man,
is finding a good editor. And
yeah,
we've seen so many projects that look like they've been butchered, because maybe the
yeah,
budget wasn't there, and somebody said, "I'll do it." They'll make an attempt. Their first
but
time editing, first time
yeah,
editing a feature film,
it's
and
crazy.
to work on it could be overwhelming if you're not ready for
Yeah, man, it
editing your
is.
film.
Yeah, that's why I don't do it. Editing is not the job for me, and it's not what I want to do. So but yeah, I haven't edited a project like in man, I want to say like a year and a half now or something like that. So it's been a year and a half since I've like actually edited. I still pay for Premiere, man. It's crazy. I don't use it. I mean, I'll use like Lightroom or stuff like that. But as far as like editing projects, yeah, man, that's like another thing like on the transition side is like, wow, like once you shoot, you wrap up, load up, head out, and you're done. You're done with the project. So
Yeah,
that's
that's like the
it's a
beautiful part
different.
about it, right? It's
It's
just
definitely
like I'm done. I'm only here for production. That's what
here
I'm
for
here for,
production,
and I'm out.
pre-production. I'm done.
On to the next one. Miss B says she's worked the whole entire art department.
She is the art department.
Right,
Like
right.
she was I remember her having to go on set and she'd be there the day before like painting rooms and offices and doing all kinds of stuff, bringing all these like props and set design, things. She's a hustler, man. She's
That's
really really awesome. If you're looking for badass art department work in Dallas or all over because I'm pretty sure she travels. Miss B is definitely the way to go.
definitely legit, and she's done a workshop with us before, so definitely legit. It's like one of those positions you don't realize, like as you're doing, as you
Yeah,
start working and getting a budget and everything, it's like, oh, that's why.
makes a big difference, man.
Yeah, because you're just gonna be, if not, you're just gonna be shooting against these white walls in
White
certain places.
walls, yeah, man. It's like you don't have art department, you're shooting against white walls, and
Uh,
you're like, man, how, how do you make a white room look interesting? Like just
yeah,
white walls. Like, oh man,
yeah,
it's
when that
a
department's in.
DP's worst nightmare right
Yeah.
there. Plain white walls. Like there's nothing there.
Unbelievable. Man, that's all we kind of have. That's all the questions I have, man. Is there any like kind of last things you would like to chat about, and also where the people can reach out to you as well?
You can go to my Instagram, Latin Visions. Website's currently in the process. Should be done here hopefully in the next month or so. But yeah, if you want to reach out, you can definitely go to my Instagram, Latin Visions. Um, and now, man, I think that's all I got. I guess just the main takeaway is if you want to be a DP or cinematographer, just start, man. Just start doing it. And then you are. So that's the best advice I could give anyone.
Okay. Anybody that's watching, if y'all want to support, or if you're like you're an aspiring filmmaker, right? Screenplay writer, go to our school. I put it up here on the screen. Go to our school and just subscribe to it, and we'll help you kind of walk you through the process of producing your film. You'll see some behind the scenes stuff that we're doing that'll help you, but mostly it's about accountability. And a lot of times people have ideas, but they're not held accountable, and so their ideas and things like that kind of just fall to the cracks. So anybody that's interested in that, go to our school, and that's one thing that we do there. We do have a question. It's be asked, do you guys feel like it's necessary to have a portfolio?
Um, I think it is necessary to have a portfolio because especially if if you got like a new client or somebody that doesn't really know a lot about you. Yeah, you could technically use Instagram as your, portfolio, your social media. It's just it doesn't look as professional. Once you have something, especially like, I've gotten like contracts to shoot like, large concerts and stuff like that. And, having a portfolio is definitely necessary once you start like getting to that level. So, maybe not at the beginning, not in the indie world, but well, depends on what indie world, right? Because indie goes up to
Yeah.
what, 5 million, and that's pretty large. But yeah, I definitely think a portfolio is important once you get to a certain level. So, like I said, maybe not at the beginning. I wouldn't worry about that. I would focus on the craft at the beginning, but definitely once, I think in your, if you're already a year in or 2 years in, I think it's time to start thinking about, creating a portfolio that you could share with people that are interested in working with you.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'll say from my standpoint, just being a credible, like film producer or film director, when we had our key art, like our posters, our key art, and it was professionally done. So having our key art that was professionally done, and having like the actual DVDs, like we had the actual DVDs and Blu-rays, and it was professionally done, and people see that like, bam, yeah, I directed that, boom, and they see that it looks great. It changes the whole perception of you, because they're like, oh, you're serious about this, because people have heard, a lot of people's ideas and things that it's like never really like panned
Yeah,
out to anything. But when you have something that's done, that's complete package, and it's good, that changes the game.
winning. You're winning.
It changes the game.
So,
Nico said, hey guys, Jaime, hey buddy, that's
hey,
Nico.
Nico.
What
Yeah,
up?
so Nico, she's amazing, talented
Absolutely.
writer.
Right.
And we worked on a project with her, the TT Anthology. And James Duhan, shout out to James.
Yeah.
Awesome DP, man. He's great. I love his work. I'm a
Hmm.
fan for sure. I actually got the opportunity to first AC for him on that project. And I definitely learned a lot from him, man. And you know, he's definitely well known in the filmmaking world. And yeah, we worked on a project that Nico had, and it was really awesome, man. I don't know, is that project out already? Is that one ready to see? Are you do you know anything about that, Reginald?
Nico. That's a Nico question right
That's a
there.
Nico question.
Yeah, it might be under wraps. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. But now drop that, Nico, if y'all have something coming up. Oh, Jay said that was a fun project. Remember Jay?
Yeah, Jay, what's up, man? We need a we need Jay to move down here from Oklahoma, man. Stop
Yeah,
messing around.
yeah, we need to work on it, because he had a good idea for a film project as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that was a great idea.
Hmm. Where were we at?
Any questions
Oh
in the
yeah,
chat?
yeah, yeah. I don't see any more questions. Um, yeah, plug your stuff one more time.
Instagram Latin Visions, and hey, man, if you guys are like, if you're an aspiring DP and you have like questions, man, definitely feel free to reach out. I'm not that type of filmmaker or DP or whatever cinematographer that's going to be like, oh, I can't share this. I feel like I remember when I started and I tried to reach out to a few people in the early stages, and I just remember not getting any emails back or any responses from them. And it was like kind of like, damn, that sucks, because they were definitely at a much higher level, and I saw their work, and I was like, man, I want to learn how to produce like those type of images, and it was very. I guess the word they didn't want to give away their secrets, I guess.
The
And
sauce.
but I'm definitely not like that. If you guys got a question about anything, feel free to reach out. Especially like I said, if you're an aspiring cinematographer or DP, I'd love to help.
Absolutely. Okay, last one, Nico. She said, "Yeah, we have some things in the making. The final cut and trailer is done. I don't know what more I can say, but you guys love it, and thank you all for everything y'all have contributed." Boom. There you go.
Nico.
There you go. Rock and roll. Okay. That's it, man. Battery's running low. Go to grindovermatter.org if y'all want to support the 501c3. some donations and some programs that we're doing there. If y'all are interested in the school, don't forget to go to the school and we can kind of get you support there if you're interested in developing your project. Outside of that, I mean, appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, bro. Take
All
it
right,
easy.
man. All right, take care.
Good night.
Night.